Hey Lou, how you doing?
Doing well.
Jessie Bates really talked about, emerging as a leader this offseason. Since you've been here, describe how he's developed in that area.
Well, I was fortunate enough to get him still young in his career, and I think that with every player that's made impacts both on the field and in the locker room, it usually takes a little bit of time. And Jesse is, his credibility has grown on the field. His peers see it, and that sometimes can lead to leadership type roles. And I think Jesse's done a good job with that. Hey, he's had some success on the field, as we've all seen. He's a really good worker, and that in turn has worked into his leadership role, and it's good to see.
How much does that help you, Lou? Having a young guy like that the rookies can probably relate to, but obviously the veterans can too with what he's done on the field. Does that make your job easier to have a leader like Jesse?
Yeah, I think the more leaders we have, we always say, hey, when the players take ownership and the players, it's there, the peer pressure is coming from them, and it just makes all the coaches' jobs a little bit easier.
What's the next step for Jesse? What's his next level?
Yeah, don't take a step back. Keep progressing. Keep building his game as we move him around even more and give him some more jobs to do. But keep forging ahead. And he's at a tough position, and he's done well at it. And he's just got to keep progressing with everything.
Who's the best leader you've ever worked with, Coach, in terms of your coaching career? Is there a guy that comes to mind that's like, wow, this guy was the model?
Yeah, guys that jump off of my head immediately, I'd say, Byron Leftwich at Marshall when he was the quarterback and I was the DB coach, and he's getting carried down the field on one leg. That was pretty awesome leadership. But he was also involved in everything, and not only was the best player on the team, but was clearly the alpha male leader, and then a guy like Cam Wake, who would led both by example and by his words. Didn't always have a ton to say, but when he called the guys up, he let everybody know what his thoughts were, and they obviously listened. So those two pop up in the top of my head.
Coach, the turnout for OTAs was, maxed out. From the defensive side, did you have a sense that was going to happen, that all these guys were coming in regardless, laser focused and ready to go?
I just think that it goes back to, the type of guys we have in the locker room, the type of culture that we're investing in and building here, is that they all wanted to be here. They all wanted to learn, a bunch of new guys on defense, and it's just a tribute to the players that we got off to, start and build at a good foundation here leading into training camp.
Thanks.
Lou, a couple of things. First off, what's it been like for you to see Byron turn into a really good offensive coordinator and one of the most sought after offensive coordinators in the league right now?
He's a good friend. Again, know each other now for quite some time, but proud of him. Doesn't surprise me. He's always been that way in terms of when Tuesday mornings or whenever it was, when Mondays, I don't remember in the off day back in college, I think it was Mondays, but he would be in the office just as long as we were as coaches. And he didn't graduated on time or early, so he had plenty of time to get in there and do football, and he would come into the defensive room and ask questions. So it really doesn't surprise me that he's gotten into coaching and having the success that he's having.
All right. And secondly, when you look at Trey Hendrickson and what he can do, what does Trey need to do well to kind of carry over that success he had last season?
Yeah, just be himself and continue to build off of the success that he had. And to me, you watch him and how he got his 13 and a half sacks, and it's just with great effort, great technique. He's a guy that's a perfectionist, and we'll just keep building on that. And again, he wants to be as consistent as anybody. He wants to throw up as many sacks as he had last year, if not more. and the way he works and his effort and how much he cares about it, you can see why the guy's successful.
Even though he's only a second-year guy, is Logan Wilson the leader among the linebacker group now?
You know, he's taken strides that way, and I made a comment to Al Golden yesterday how well Logan is communicating, and for a young guy, when you think about it, you know, he missed the games he missed last year, didn't have an off season, didn't have a spring, and so in a lot of ways, you know, this is just a continuation of his rookie year, and he is really to this point done very well, and we continue him to see that way. I think Jermaine Pratt is communicating very well also, and trying to get guys in the right positions. So between those two guys, they've really stepped up so far this spring.
Coach, looking at the guys you brought in on the edge in free agency and the draft, you know, kind of looks like a kind of a common thread there with those guys: ability to drop, ability to play the run. Are they part of something of a larger picture where maybe you're trying to, you know, mix it up a little bit, trying to get pressure on the quarterback? Do you see any major changes in how you're going to use those edge guys and you have the last couple of years?
No, I mean, I think that the more multiple each of our players can be, the more flexibility that they bring allows us to do more. So, you know, if they're not just a one position or one, hey, this is the trait that he has and this is the only thing you do, we're trying to find guys that can do multiple things, which allows us to do more on defense. And I think that those guys are set up to first and foremost rush and affect the quarterback. That's job 1A. That's what they have to do. And everything else kind of spins off of that or plays off of that. So if they can drop, well, that's a bonus. If they're a really good run edge defender, great, you know. But it always starts kind of in that order: rushing, setting the edge, and then the other stuff, the coverage stuff, would be you know, a third to that job responsibility.
Lou, kind of piggybacking off that a little bit. I know Trey and Larry both talked about that being used in different ways. They hadn't necessarily been used before, at least not to that extent. Is there any apprehension in having them do stuff that isn't necessarily on tape as much? And is that something you can easily figure out in camp and the preseason, where they're at with the ability to do that type of stuff?
Yeah, I think, you know, Trey, you know, dropped a bunch in New Orleans, you know, when there was a fire zone or simulated pressure. So he's done it. You know, the young guys have all done it in college. So I think, you know, who's best at it, you know, you turn on anybody's tape, all these guys at some point are dropping. Khalil Mack drops in coverage, you know, Von Miller drops in, you know, you're kind of trying to keep the offense off balance that way. Is that what we want to do? No, we want them going forward. And like I said, the first thing they'll do is go rush and affect the quarterback. But again, the more they can do, the better, and it gives us some more flexibility.
Given the nature of what the preseason is, you know, you can't see the guys hit or do anything really that physical. What was the number one thing that you wanted to get accomplished this spring?
Yeah, come out with a good foundation of our base stuff and alignments and communication, and because really that's what you get done this time of the year, where, you know, the physical part of the game is not a factor right now. So to say that this guy is really defeating blocks well or using his hands well, you know, that stuff will come in training camp. But to have an understanding of, hey, this is where I line up, this is my responsibility, this is where my help is. You know, this is who I'm working with on this particular play or this particular defense. I think we did that, and we came out of that with a really good understanding, and hopefully we'll hit the ground running when we come back for training camp.
You say it all the time, and all defensive coordinators do, that it takes all 11 guys to play defense. And given that you have so many new pieces there, what's a realistic time frame to get those guys in sync and all working together on the same page?
Before the first game. So
where are they at now? Are you happy with the progress in that regard?
Yeah, I mean, again, you know, it all threw us for a loop last year, where we said, well, how the heck are we ever going to play a season without having any spring and no preseason games? So the fact that we got these practices in, the fact that we've been meeting with the guys and doing all this with all the new guys that we have, we feel like we're exactly where we want to be. We still got a ways to go, but we're happy with where we're at this point.
Did you throw a lot at him, Coach?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. We definitely felt as a staff and myself, let's throw a bunch at them in a short amount of time. And then even if we don't get to practice at all, even if it's in a walkthrough or on a sign a line, where they can at least have heard a call, get lined up in it, and then we can build from there. So when we come back, it'll be, all right, hey, I remember this, and we'll just kind of polish it up where it's not the first time they're hearing it.
Coach, you have to be pleased to have all your guys out there, just injuries and everything that happened last year to start with a full complement of players.
Oh, yeah, 100%. It's great to see all of the guys out there, and they're healthy and they're in great shape. And, again, part of it is that they're back with us, and our strength guys, Joey Bose does a great job. And so with the rest of his staff, but the fact that they're in there working with him and are feeling good about things, it just makes our lives easier.
Thanks.
Lou, how happy are you with the secondary and how the potential it has with a lot of guys in there with a lot of credentials that they bring to the table? How pleased are you with what you've seen from them as a group?
Yeah, so far so good. You've got all experienced players out there that have seen a bunch of different things in this league, which always helps. You're not dealing with any first or second year players. You're all veteran guys across the board, and they are problem solvers. They're working through. Mike Hilton coming from Pittsburgh in a different scheme to a degree, and him working out exactly where his fits are in the run game and what his pass responsibilities are. They've all picked it up very well. And our coaches, Steve Jackson, Rob Livingston, those guys have done a really good job back there getting those guys to work together and play together early.
Talking about a guy like Hilton, Lou, he brings a lot to the table. You didn't blitz. I mean, obviously you can only do what you can do with what you got. You got a guy that can blitz. It's something that you haven't done a lot of. Do you kind of tailor what he does to what you do and try to get a mix of that, or you?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Mike has proven that he's one of the better blitzing nickels in the league. So we will, build on that. And, we've called that a bunch in the past and we'll continue to do so.
2 minutes.
But you mentioned Miller and Mack. Great defenses often have a guy like that makes the game-changing play when the game is on the line. Do you feel like you have somebody like that, or is it more of a group effort where different guys are going to have to make those type of plays in order for this team to win big?
Yeah, well, I think, when you just go up off pure stats, a guy like Trey, who, again, was second in the league in sacks last year, that fits in that mold where you got a guy that, when the balls or the game's on the line, he's going to step up and make it. And I feel like, we'll have other guys that have made similar plays like that throughout their careers. Again, the back end guys, Trey Waynes and Von Bell and obviously Jessie, all those guys have done it. Logan Wilson, get him with, as I said, a full spring, a full training camp, a full season. Does he become one of those guys? And then the guys up front, inside. All those guys that have been disruptors in the past, we're counting on those guys to do good things as well. The Larry Okunjobis of the world that have, produced big plays in the past, and DJ, and we'll see where the young guys come about.
One last question.
Speaking of Trey Waynes, what are your expectations for him this season?
Just to, he hasn't played football in a long time. And any corner, we just want him to be consistent. We want him to be the same guy every day. We want him to be the same guy every time we play a game, know exactly what you're going to get. A guy that's going to not give up big plays. He's going to contest throws, play smart, all those things, tackle on the edge, just be a consistent, good football player, and the rest will come. If you go, I've always told the guys, if you go chasing plays, you're going to give up more than you make. So you want to just be consistent with your techniques. And if we get that from Trey, we'll be fine.